If you like to talk about the hypocrisy of Jehovah's Witnesses and Watchtower, this is a place for you. Please subscribe and turn on notifications, and with that being said, let's get started. Alright guys, do you remember this guy from California? This is the Jehovah's Witness child molester. This is one of the ones that everybody... You see that Kingdom Hall photo where the Kingdom Hall's got police out there. It was totally viral. Do you remember this? I've got some updates and some crazy shit to tell you guys about this. And just so you guys understand, the heading that I gave you is not clickbait. It is absolutely true. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. I'll show you how to get to it, where it's at. I'll show you photos of it here in just a minute. But for those of you who don't remember this disgusting human being, I'm going to play some stuff for you guys, and then after that I will talk to you guys about some more information we have about him. We'll show you obviously the bail amount, and an even crazier connection is that there is a possible, and I'm saying possible, pedophilia ring involving the judges on these cases, and I will tell you guys about that at the end.
Fresno County Sheriff's detectives have arrested a suspected child abuser again after they say they uncovered evidence from a 10th woman who reported abuse in her own childhood. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Warren Armstrong.
And I'm Margo Kim. We are live on ABC 30, Hulu Live, and wherever you stream. Action News reporter Corin Hoggard shows us why the suspect is a free man again, even after prosecutors filed new charges.
A new mugshot shows Anthony Escobedo last Tuesday after his third arrest in connection with the Fresno County Sheriff's investigation. Escobedo was already facing 15 charges, ranging from annoying or molesting a child to possession of child pornography to rape. But detectives believe there were still more victims from Escobedo's time as a Jehovah's Witness.
Our investigation led us to believe that there was additional information in the church documents, in more or less their personnel files that they keep on parishioners.
Action News recorded detectives seizing manila envelopes as they served a search warrant last month at Jehovah's Witness churches in Kingsburg and Clovis. Court documents state they found reports naming a previously unknown potential victim. Investigators said an interview with the alleged victim, who's now a grown woman, corroborated a story from one of the earlier victims and provided evidence of an additional alleged crime. Prosecutors filed 5 new felony charges afterwards, and detectives arrested Escobedo. Investigators say they asked the church for the records, but ultimately executed a search warrant to get them. Spokespeople for the Jehovah's Witness National Organization say they're cooperating in the investigation. They told Action News police were contacted about Escobedo's behavior 5 times between 2009 and 2016, which is when the church expelled Escobedo as a member. Quote, to our knowledge, the identity of every victim known to the congregation has been reported to the police. As we understand it, the authorities were contacted on 5 different occasions about various incidents, end quote. Detectives say they're still not sure they have the full picture.
We're going to keep going. We're going to keep digging. We still have more forensic evidence that we're examining. And, if we can find more victims, we're going to.
Escobedo has pleaded not guilty to every charge he's faced so far, and he's bailed out after each arrest. His defense attorney pointed out to me that some of the new charges stem from incidents investigated years ago. Tulare County investigators dropped the case in 2012, citing insufficient evidence, and Fresno County prosecutors dropped another in 2014 for the same reason. But prosecutor Andrew Jan says he now counts 10 victims in at least 3 counties. So he believes Escobedo is too dangerous to be free, and he'll try to convince a judge to keep him in custody.
What we've seen is a progression in terms of his conduct. Everything from minor groping to full-on molestation, and the newest case being an allegation of rape. When we see conduct progress like this is a warning sign that it's only going to get worse from here.
A judge will decide Tuesday whether Escobedo should stay behind bars without bail pending trial. In downtown Fresno, Corin Hoggard, ABC 30, Action News.
2 felony charges for possessing and distributing child pornography, is out of jail tonight. The deputies say that 34-year-old Anthony Escobedo allegedly shared a video on social media showing a young girl being raped. CBS 47's Shauna Kalafi joins us live at the Fresno County Sheriff's Office with more on what deputies are calling a troubling pattern of behavior. Shauna.
Yeah, Ken, Escobedo was booked at the Fresno County Jail yesterday with bail set at $40,000. He's since bonded out, but deputies say there may be more charges still to come once they analyze his electronic devices. On Tuesday, Fresno County Sheriff's deputies arrested 34-year-old Anthony Emmanuel Escobedo on felony charges of possessing and distributing child pornography. The investigation started after a tip that Escobedo was using social media to share child pornography.
What we discovered is that he was actually passing videos off showing a man raping a little girl who's like 3 to 5 years old.
Escobedo was arrested at his home in San Joaquin. His electronics were seized and will be analyzed.
Possessing and distributing, so he faces those 2 charges. But then, there could be enhancements. If he has, say, over 600 images of child pornography, that brings the crime to a new threshold.
Escobedo has an extensive criminal history related to sex crimes, with active cases in Fresno County for forcible rape and indecent exposure after he was allegedly caught masturbating near schools in Clovis 3 times.
He also has some other allegations of groping young girls and even exposing himself to a young child. So it's one of those troubling patterns of behavior.
Deputies say Escobedo has lived in Fresno, Clovis, Kingsburg, and now San Joaquin. And because of that pattern of behavior, they believe there may be even more victims who still haven't come forward. So if you have any information to share, call the Fresno County Sheriff's Office. Live in Fresno, Shauna Kalafi, CBS 47 Eyewitness News.
All right, so before we continue with the rest of the story, and guys, I am begging you to wait till the end, because I got some good news for you guys. I got to show you guys something really important to me. But anyways, so the case number is F21903676, and it's the people of the state of California versus Anthony Emmanuel. Okay, so this is the case number. So for those of you who don't think this is true, and if there's any of you who are members of the organization, I want you guys to honestly think about this. I want you to watch this. I want you to think about what I'm telling you and what you're seeing here. Because remember, I'm not telling you this. This is what the organization has done. This is what they're representing. Okay, guys, so what you're seeing before you is you can go to his rap sheet, what he's being charged with, and he has over 20 charges against him, okay? And they're all felonies. Now, we're just going to kind of go through this. Now, normally I would read them out, but I can't. If I do that, the video is going to get hammered, and so I can't do that. So you'll have to read it to yourself. But yeah, I mean, remember this. This guy's been arrested 3 times. Okay, just give you some backstory. The first time he got bail, it was $40,000. Okay, $40,000. Okay, so what you're going to see now is it's just so you can kind of see what the charges are and the dates. This is in this images here. We saw that there was at least 20 at the time that we see what's going on here. Yeah, okay. Now look at this. Now just stop for a second, guys. I'm dead serious. Look at the date. 12/12/2024. Bail set at amount $780 million. Right? So just so you guys understand, this guy is out on bail for $780 million. Don't tell me that he took a loan out and the bank gave him this. Don't be stupid. You need to think. All right, guys, so let's try to look at this before we get too excited, and let's think about this. Now, we don't know for sure that Watchtower paid $780 million. But let's think about this. He's a Jehovah's Witness. They're being investigated. Multiple cases are coming out of this. Watchtower is heavily invested in trying to figure out who is giving what and where the information is coming from. So there is a 99.99% chance that the organization known as Watchtower Bible Tract Society is footing this bill. The only other choices are some other random organization. Now, let's think about the theory that some random organization. What random organization out there has $780 million to spend on one single random pedo? I mean, come on. Like, this is insane, guys. I don't know what this guy is or why he's so valuable, because usually when Watchtower has somebody like this, they just let them go to the wolves, and then they let them go to jail, and they're just done. They'll try to pay, a couple million to silence it, but when we get to, hey, this is a criminal court, this is a different thing, this is the public, everyone's going to see these records, they usually run. And then what are they doing? They're paying $780 million. My theory, absolutely theory, guys. That guy is so confident. He thinks he's just going to get off. I think that Watchtower is invested into this, and I've talked to some people about this, and they have the same kind of idea that I did, and I'm going to share this with you. I think that the reason they're so invested in this is that they're going to, because we know that they found out through these cases by going through the Kingdom Hall and going through those records. I think that the lawyers feel that they have a way that they can get him off. And what I mean by that is that they're going to be able to get the charges dropped because the evidence was acquired somehow or not registered or not documented correctly, and then it can't be used in the courts, and then they're going to try to get him off, and that's why they're willing to pay this much money. Now, that's the business aspect. That's what I think they're going to be going for. The other thing that I'm thinking of is that they're going to pay to get him out. He's going to run the country and leave because he's got something that Watchtower doesn't want anybody to know about, and they're either going to fly him out to another country or they're going to whack him. That's my opinions. Honestly, the first one, that's what I think they're going to go for. But if that does work, and then think about this, dude. This guy's a nobody. He's just a random douchebag at a Kingdom Hall. Who does he work for? He has got to have some powerful fucking friends. My God. I mean, can you name somebody in court that was worth $780 million? What the freak is this? All right, guys. So, I mean, if you're someone who donates to the organization, right? You're one of these people who's like believes in Jehovah's Witnesses and they're the one true society and all that kind of stuff. How do you see a guy like this who's been charged 3 times, got off bail, the organization's paying for his lawyers, getting him off, paying his bail over and over again, and then he gets a $780 million. $780 million. Now, here's the thing, guys. This is why I think something's really, really fishy about this. If you look at his face when he first gets arrested and then you look at him now, he just feels like he's got that arrogant, like, I'm going to get away with this and nobody's going to be able to touch me. He thinks either because he's crazy or, which I don't think he is, honestly. I think he's well connected. I think there's something about this dude that we don't know. I don't know, he's an asset for some kind of agency or something. He's got to be important because he's $780 million important. Come on. Have you ever seen Watchtower fork that much money? The highest we have ever seen them settle was, what, $34 million? Whoa. Okay, guys, think about this. Pedophilia, right? I told you in the past, 2019, that they were up to $200 million in lawsuits. Then there's the Maui Fire $40 million one, so we're $240 million. And now we have this $780 million bail. That means they have paid over $1 billion in child molestation. Over $1 billion. people. What the F? And you don't think that this is a coincidence? You don't think that this is part of the organization? $1 billion. Okay, now let's get to the real crazy shit. Now, this is the reason why this is just absolutely blown my mind, okay? So you guys all know about Abel and his case against Watchtower, which is on my channel, which I'm going to link this video as part of that. And this is why, guys. Check this out. Now, I know that you guys think that these... If you didn't think what we just saw is a conspiracy, right? Now, let's type and look at this. So I told you things don't make sense with the evidence that has been delivered against Abel's case and his parents and all the fraudulent behavior the judge lets them do. We found out, this is crazy, Abel found out that the judge that is doing this to him is related to the same judge that's letting this dude get away with this stuff. The same judge that was letting him get away with this stuff. And you think this is a coincidence? No. No. All right, guys, so I just want to tell you what I'm telling you, right? So we know there's somebody, obviously Abel is going against the organization for hiding child molestation. He's bringing charges against his parents. We've already talked about this. I've showed you documentation. And now we're finding out that the weird stuff that was going on with that judge just happens to be related to another judge that is doing what they can to let Watchtower go. I mean, it's not a coincidence, guys. I know that you guys hear about all these, these things that you don't want to believe in, but the corruption is so bad and it's so real and it's so terrible. And I really appreciate people like Abel who are out there and they're doing the real fight, the real work. And with that being said, I want to end this video on a positive note, and I'm going to show you 7 minutes of Abel going to court and fighting against that evil child molesting judge piece of shit.
Call the next case on the calendar, our case number 87666, Abel Perez versus Roberto Perez and Nina Perez. Mr. Abel Perez?
Yes, my name is Abel Perez.
Very good, sir. You've requested 30 minutes, and
Yes.
so there's a clock that you can keep track of, and we'll keep track of it too. We've read the briefing, and we're familiar with that, so please keep that in mind
Yes.
when you're addressing us. And with that in mind, you can proceed to the podium.
I made many points in my brief. I'm going to focus on 3 points today. And may it please the court, I will give a brief restatement of the facts to present the proper context for the points I wish to make. I originally filed a lawsuit based on sexual and physical child abuse. I did not proceed with the sexual abuse cause of action because the judge ruled only an attorney can file certificates of merit. The cost of hiring an attorney was prohibitive, so I proceeded with physical abuse as a cause of action. The physical abuse administered by Roberto Nina Perez was of an extreme sort. I starved much of the time and was forced to work for Roberto for no pay or food. Violence in the Perez home was a permanent fixture. Roberto Nina would drag my siblings and I by our hair and ears, whipping me while naked or in the shower, assaults with leather horsewhip, wire hanger, and extension cords, punches to the face, and backhand attacks. I would like to make 3 points today. The first, this appeal hinges on whether my fourth cause of action for civil battery is within the statute of limitations. My cause of action was based on CCP 340.15, which gives 3 years from the date an injury in connection with physical abuse is discovered to file a claim. The trial court erred in its interpretation of CCP 340.15. It ruled I was outside of the statute of limitations because I have always known of the physical abuse. At age 8, I tried speaking up about the abuse. This was squashed by the church. Following this event, I began to internalize the abuse and use the coping mechanism of self-blame. I became convinced I was a sinner of low self-worth. Because I was raised in isolation from other children, I had no normal standard to compare my daily life to. Another coping mechanism I used to survive was denial. I denied reality by telling myself that I was fine. I denied reality to shield myself from the horror of my day-to-day reality, a coping mechanism I continued into adulthood. As an adult, I believed I had survived psychologically unharmed from my childhood. Roberto and Nina, by their words and actions, had convinced me their actions were normal parental discipline. They cloaked their actions under a facade of normalcy. In Riley versus Presnell, Riley was unable to immediately link his injuries to the abusive psychological treatment he was receiving because the psychologist was cloaking the abuse under a facade of normalcy. Children who suffer from abuse create psychological coping mechanisms. They unfortunately continue these coping mechanisms into adulthood, which then hinders them from properly recognizing the psychological harm that was done to them. Ironically, the very shield used to protect themselves as children now acts as a barrier to resolving the trauma. In Ross versus Garabedian, quote, the plaintiff's inability to link psychological harm to the defendant's conduct stem from unconscious coping or blocking mechanisms commonly found in victims, end quote. At age 18, I repressed all memories of my childhood. It took a decade to recover those memories, and it took several decades to build a sense of self-worth. Only at that point could I begin to make a connection between the physical abuse and psychological injury. The trial court's reasoning was that because I knew of the abuse, I reasonably should have connected the psychological harm long before 2019. Case law does not support the trial court's position. In Riley versus Presnell, quote, if an initially reasonable person, by reason of the experience forming the basis for the plaintiff's complaint, have his or her judgment altered in some way, such altered judgment then becomes the standard. The cause of action will not accrue until such an individual would have discovered the damage, end quote. The trial court's line of reasoning here was that, by their own definition, me, a psychologically damaged person, should have recognized I was psychologically damaged long before 2019. The trial court did not offer an explanation on this line of logic. The evidence shows the trial court was not even reading my court filings, much less be able to claim it could place itself within my subjective life experience. Two major events happened in 2018 and 2019 that caused me to question the reality of my coping mechanisms. One of them was getting married in 2018, and I was now living in intimate proximity with another person. Behaviors I had accepted as normal were now reflected back onto me. This culminated in the 2019 psychologist visits. Before 2019, I had never seen a psychologist in my life. Neither the trial court or defendant Roberto Sr. has ever presented evidence that I was aware of psychological damage before 2019. My cause of action for physical abuse was filed within the criteria set by CCP 340.15. The fourth cause of action should be remanded to the trial court. Second point I wish to make, this case was not disposed of on its merits. In the trial court's ruling, the judge admitted that I could potentially amend my complaint to show I was within the statute of limitations. The trial court then speculated I would not be able to present a suitable reason for not discovering injury until 2019 and did not allow me to amend. The reasons for not discovering psychological injury until 2019 is a material fact to be decided by a trier of fact. Douglas versus Superior Court, quote, California courts have a policy of great liberality in allowing amendments at any stage of the proceedings so as to dispose of cases upon their substantial merits, end quote. Because the trial court's judgment was based on speculation and a material fact was left unconsidered, the judgment sustaining demurrer should be reversed and the case remanded to lower court. The third point. Roberto Sr. as a pro se litigant was required to conduct his own defense. We have a sworn statement on page 11 of the respondent brief from his son Robert Michael Perez stating he created the appeals response document while acting under the alleged authority of power of attorney. Roberto Sr. as a pro se litigant in this matter was obligated to personally prepare and file all pleadings. The submission of a respondent brief prepared by an individual claiming to be operating under the alleged power of attorney undermines the fundamental principles of self-representation. Such conduct should not be overlooked because it risks compromising the integrity of the judicial process. This case should be remanded to the trial court. Any questions?
There are no questions, sir, but thank you for your argument. Anything further?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. The matter will be taken under submission and we'll notify you at the appropriate time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you.